Yo, what is up everyone? Back here with another video. In today's video, we will be doing a moveset guide for Flutter, and at the end of this video, I will be telling you where you can find it as well. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, please be sure to like, subscribe, and share the video. I incredibly appreciate it, and without further ado, let's get right into it. So for the first Flutter main set that we're going to be going over, we're going to be going over the sash set. Now the sash Flutter main set is basically just intended to kind of compensate for its otherwise poor bulk and just keep it alive for a bit longer. Now you guys might be wondering, okay, why are we running Trick Room on a fast mon? What this allows you to do is pretty much when opposing teams set Tailwind versus you, you can very much catch them off guard with the Trick Room. As well too, it still does force them to kind of be more cautious about when they're clicking Tailwind, right? Because if you can punish a Tailwind with a Trick Room, it can put you in an incredibly good position that you can kind of work around and use to beat your opponent. And your opponent's not just going to be able to click whatever moves they want and just attack you, right? And the important part with that is it gives your team more flexibility and it lets Flutter main perform more roles than one on your team. Because normally most people just assume that Flutter main is just going to sit there and click attacks. But when you have Trick Room, it actually gives you quite a bit of ways to, actually be proactive on the field. And that also really causes the opponent to have to consider multiple options per turn. So this kind of set is actually really strong. In my opinion, this is probably the best set for Flutter main. Most people actually bias towards Lifeform, or even I've seen Scarf sometimes, but I'm not the biggest fan of Scarf. I really think that Sash is the absolute play for Flutter main. This is my favorite set of the three. Don't get me wrong, the other three are good too, and I'm going to be talking about the pros and cons of them, specifically their damage, but I do think that Sash Flutter main is most likely the best set. As well too, most Flutter mains do utilize the Terra type of Terra Ghost. I will be going over like any other Terra types in the next couple of sets. So for the second Flutter main set that I wanted to go over, it's going to be the Lifeform set. So the Lifeform set is obviously EV'd a little bit differently from the Sash set, because even though you are min-maxing into your offense, the difference is that you actually kind of need to compensate for the Lifeform chip you're taking, and you can potentially try an EV for bulk, because at this point, right, the way you're utilizing the Flutter main is without a Sash, right? So you want it to have a little bit more bulk than you would with the Sash version, because Sash version, it's intended for the Sash to keep you alive in most situations, right? So you'll notice on this, on this Flutter main, I've Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, Mystical Fire, Protect. And the main reasoning for this is Mystical Fire gives you really solid coverage for the things that otherwise pressure Flutter main, specifically Scizor. Steel types like Golden Elgo is another one that can pressure you sometimes. It gives you some solid coverage options to deal with these things. And you have a couple different options in terms of your Terra type, right? So usually I've seen Lifeform go one of two ways. You can go into a Ghost Terra type and go for a Ghost type Shadow Ball with Lifeform, which chunks incredibly hard, or you can go with the Fire Terra type and change into a type to kind of absorb steel moves that normally would be going into to take you out, right? As well too, that makes you neutral to ghost moves, and you have a really high special defense, so that works out as well. My personal recommendation is probably one of Terra Fire or Ghost. I wouldn't really recommend going Terra Fairy. I've seen that one before too, but I don't particularly think it's the strongest of the bunch. As well too, the set is meant to deal a bunch of damage, right? So this set is really good on teams where you have the right tools to support the Misdrevious to be able to deal its damage, and you can just be clicking these strong moves into the opponents to really chunk down their team. So for the final Flutter main set that I wanted to go over, the Choice Specs set. Now the Choice Specs set is actually really potent because it allows you to deal a bunch of damage, kind of similar to the Lifeform set. Now the main kind of drawback of the Choice Specs set is you're locked into a certain move, but you also get the benefit of being able to deal a lot more damage. With this specific set, I wouldn't recommend a Terra type of anything other than Ghost, mostly because you're going to be locking into a move, and if you lock into a Fire type Mystical Fire in a lot of situations, that might not be the best call, whereas if you lock into a Ghost, a Shadow Ball, that is very hard to switch into, right? And Flutter main actually really likes the Choice Specs, because the Choice Specs just lets you stack a ton of damage. You will be chunking pretty much anything that comes in when you are using Specs Flutter main, right? Now, the one thing that you have to be aware of when you're using this set is that it's a little bit harder sometimes to weave it in or to be flexible with it, because you can't protect, right? So you have to make sure that you're in the right position to bring in the Flutter main and really be spamming these heavy hitting attacks. As well too, it is carrying Moonblast over Protect because it's a spec set. Obviously you want to have an attack there. Single target Moonblast is actually really strong as well. It's actually more powerful than Shadow Ball if you're hitting something for neutral, so it can do a lot of damage and will chunk stuff really hard. Overall, I would say that this set is definitely good on teams where you have a lot of support for Misdrevious, and you can afford the lack of flexibility to be pumping out more damage. And overall, I would say this set's pretty strong. It's just more so dependent on your team. Okay guys, so for this section of the video, I'm just going to show you where you can find your own Flutter main. So there are a couple different locations where I've seen it spawn before. I have seen it spawn down in that cave, but while I was recording the Roaring Moon video, which, you know, I recorded obviously before this, I did notice that there was a Flutter main in here. So this does seem to be a spawn where you can reliably get Flutter main. We actually are going to check right now. Oh my god, I can't do this thing right. All right, let's go here. As well too, you can utilize a salty herba mystica to actually get a shiny Flutter main. You'll see that we have one right here. So basically, the way you get the shiny Flutter main, you'll just see, you know, obviously you can just run into this if you want it. But basically what you can do anyways to get like guaranteed Flutter mains and give yourself a good chance for a shiny is using 2 salty herba mysticas and a red onion on a sandwich, and it gives you really good chance for a shiny. That's actually how I ended up getting the shiny Misdrevious. I pretty much like had only Flutter main spawning and then utilized that to actually get access to it. If you guys enjoyed this video and this video was helpful, please be sure to let me know. I try to obviously, you know, make these videos as helpful as possible for you guys, especially you getting into VGC, which is why I specifically show the sections where you can find the mons. As always, guys, I incredibly appreciate all support on the videos. See you on the next one. Peace.